Great.
All right. Thank you for joining us as part of the Voya STEM Fellowship. We've had the pleasure of taking a deep dive into STEM education. We'll be discussing the task of exposing students to real-world STEM research and problem solving. My name is Steve Elza. I'm an automotive technology teacher at Fremd High School in Illinois, and I've got 3 amazing educators with me tonight. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, I am Corey Watunsky. I'm joining you from Whitewater, Wisconsin, where I teach 6th grade math and science. This is my 6th year teaching, and I'm super pumped to be here with these other great educators. So thanks for joining.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Pemberton, and I teach 8th grade math. I've taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math in the past though, and I am at Canfield Middle School in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and excited to be talking with you today about real-world applications that we are passionate about and sharing with students.
And hello everyone, my name is Jerry Kroll. I am an applied technology teacher at Hoffman Estates High School in Illinois, and I teach a little bit of all of our applied technology elective classes. So I've taught things like engineering, electronics, small engines, and automotive as well. And real quick, everyone, while I have you all here, I'm going to share a screencast with you very quickly. And I just wanted to show everyone this slide right here. Throughout our presentation, we're going to be referencing some really valuable resources that we've come up with. And these are the links for those. So if you'd like to pull those up as we're working through, we'll also try to add these in for you guys at the end of our presentation as well.
All right, so as we get rolling here, why is this skill so important to STEM teaching and learning?
I think go ahead, Katie. No, you can go.
All right, well, I'll jump right in here, and just something that's really important to me as a middle school math teacher, if students are not engaged in real world problem solving, I find them asking, when am I ever going to use this, or how does this apply to me? So the first thing I think of is that engagement piece is incredibly important in getting students involved, excited about learning, and really getting them exposed to new ideas and that problem solving process. So for me, it's really about engaging kids in the process of thinking, learning, and creating solutions to very real world problems.
Katie, you literally took the words right out of my mouth when you said, when will I ever use this? As we're wrapping up the school year just now, it's a lot of the same things as we're doing our projects of, when am I ever going to need this? But I think you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about, authentic learning and applying what they know and making them care, or creating problems and letting them solve it in a way that it means something to them. You see that engagement piece that you mentioned is so, so powerful.
So when I looked at this question here, I was kind of breaking it down from the teacher's perspective and also the student's perspective. I think from the teaching side, it really helps us to keep our content interesting and fun and relevant. And it also gives us a fun way to teach our standards and integrate those into a cool project or activity. For our students, I think it is just really building real world skills, things that they might not get from your traditional classroom setup, things like teamwork and collaboration skills, and whatever skills they might need to acquire in order to solve their problem.
And that's exactly it. I think it reaches all of the kids. In my classroom, I have kids that are on the AP track, and I have kids that spend more time in the discipline office than I think most people want to be. But when everyone is working towards a common real world goal, you use math, science, English, history, all those things play into that one problem. And it's really amazing when you really dive into a real world problem, and you just let the kids go. Don't confine them, don't constrain them into, what has to fit this class, but you really let them, test those boundaries and ask those important questions. The sparks fly, and the learning is incredible.
And I like what you said, Steve, there about your span of students being your AP track students to our non-AP track students. And these are the types of projects where each of their own individual uniquenesses get to come out, and you get to see them shine in ways that maybe they wouldn't shine in other people's classrooms if it's more traditional. Some of those students that have very low motivation will suddenly surprise you, and will find the most creative, innovative solution. And you're just like, this is amazing. And wow, like it inspires you as an educator to continue to do these projects. So I like that piece.
And with that said too, it's, there's multiple entry points. So kids that come to us maybe behind in grade level, they have that kind of low floor, high ceiling point of every kid can do. It's doable for every kid, really. And it's up to them what level they want to take it and avenues to pursue. So I love that application piece.
And that's almost where, you move that pendulum from being a teacher to a facilitator. And so you're continually, you're reaching each kid where they're at. You're really pushing each kid to do the best that they can do. Okay.
And I know the other Facebook or the other STEM groups are going to be going in, but I think our group really has the most interesting topic, because when we set out with these problems, I'm reading off what the other groups have. They inspire curiosity, promote failure, build classroom culture, they rock the boat, collaborate with others, and our topic allows all of that to happen. So I think that we got really lucky with this topic.
I completely agree. So what does the research say about this skill?
So I think that was one of the big curiosities a lot of people are going to have, right? Because if you want to add more real world problem solving to your classroom, there's a really good chance that someone is going to want to see some sort of data or research that can help to back that up, right? And if any of you who are watching are interested in trying to share this out with others in your building or in your district, whatever the case might be, a few interesting articles that I found, and again, those are referenced in that slide that we showed you all earlier. The first was referenced in the Journal of Advanced Academics, and basically polled and tested around 400 middle school science students. And they found that when comparing to a control group, the students who were involved with real world problem solving showed increased overall performance academically, and they also had higher and better perceptions of their learning. So the students not only scored higher, but they actually felt that that class that they were in and the learning that they were taking part in was more meaningful to them. So there's a little bit of research.
Well, it's always important, and that's one of the tough things is so often we want what's the data behind it? Why is this important? Why do I need to know this? And so having that data as you walk into this, because it can be scary as an administrator or even as a teacher next door when these kids are all doing their own, because it's chaos in action sometimes. And it's one of those things that you have to let it happen. And so that data behind it, why are we doing it is important.
An article I found out of Portland discusses that anytime we are using some project-based learning, we're really pushing kids' critical thinking skills. As they collaborate with each other, they're doing the work. It's not us doing the work, but more we're taking that facilitator role and pushing those kids to really think critically. So I love that piece just about this article that I found that was referenced to in that list. And then also looking at some really neat examples Because sometimes I'll start brainstorming, hey, what would be a cool project that I can do with these kiddos that would really unleash their creativity. And it helped me see some real world applications and examples. And sometimes that helps just get the creative juices going.
And I agree too, like seeing the examples really helps. And I know that Jerry posted an article and it went through almost like it gave some examples of why is this a real world problem versus why this one might not be. And I think that sometimes teachers don't always know that this is or is not a real world example. We might be doing this all the time, or we might think we're doing this. And I think it just takes that little extra piece of education of, well, this is how you can take that to the next step.
And that's the scary part, is you don't always know where the kids are going to end up. It's it's traditionally, as a teacher, we ask a question, we have an idea where the answer is. We have an idea, here's a math problem, here's the answer to it. Now, maybe there's multiple ways to get to it, but here's the answer to it. With a real world problem, it's going to take those key things, like Katie said, critical thinking. It's going to take problem solving. It's going to take that thought process and really working through the big picture.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you just have to accept that you might not get that answer, or it might take a long time to find that answer, and that's okay.
It's kind of an uncomfortable thing at first when you try this, I think, because you're letting go of a lot of control and really giving that to kids. So you're like, all right, 8th graders, let's see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, and another I think I'd add is building off what you all have been mentioning. Sometimes you might have students in a real world problem solving scenario who do not find an answer. They cannot solve that problem, and that's totally okay, because really it's about all the steps they took to get to that point, and realizing, if they had a chance to reattack that problem, that they could definitely address it differently. And I think that's a lot of that critical thinking skill that we're talking about.
I think there's a lot of power in productive struggle like that too, and you don't necessarily have to find the answer, but you're still productive. And I think that's really hard to find that balance for students and as educators too, of how long do we let them struggle with this before we give them a clue, and do we even know what that clue is for this problem?
It really builds that grit to keep them going and being comfortable with failure. Like, hey, failure is just part of that process, and where do we go from there? So I like that.
Well, and it's fun. I have an advisory committee that meets twice a year, and it's filled with local employers, manufacturers. Everyone's covered in the automotive field in this committee, and that's one of the first things that they ask for, is that give me someone that wants to show up on time. Give me someone that wants to learn, someone that's willing to tackle a problem and not afraid to fail, not afraid to learn from that failure, and then come back full circle and attack it a different way. And that it's so needed in the workforce at every level. And I don't care if you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be, a custodial engineer. You're going to need to know how to problem solve and think critically.
Yeah. And I think too, like if this is, I think it leads us into what our call to action should be, really. Our job as educators is to put students out there who can do those things that you just mentioned, Steve. And, this is what we're challenging you with, is just finding one project, start small, that's doable, it's relatable, not just to your content, but to your kids too. Really important, you got to know them. Something that you can find multiple solutions to, and just plan it out. Have your students do it. Give them an opportunity. Be prepared to see that organized chaos in your classroom, and just go for it. Just do it. Just find that problem and let them run with it. So that is our call to action for you all.
So you have a very grand task in front of you. And Jerry's got some great resources he's going to share with you again to help you work through that call to action.
All right, and here it is, friends. One last time for you. So here's our Here's our links here. You can either click on the link you see there, or you can use the fun QR code, and you can actually scan it through your camera on any of your smart devices and see some of the links that we have up there for you.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.